the G7 summit comes with sweeping U.S. tariffs already in place. How have these trade measures reshaped global alliances, especially with traditional U.S. partners like Canada, Japan, and the EU?
Well, thank you for your invitation. I think the usual partners, allies of the United States are in a difficult position. They would like the United States to moderate its position, particularly Trump, and to go back towards a rational diplomacy as they had with President Biden. Uh, and so they're in a dilemma.
Yeah, of course.
They want to appease Trump in order to calm him down, but they also are combining to indicate that President Trump's policies, both in Ukraine and in the Middle East and in trade, are damaging them and will damage the whole stability of Europe and the West and the world in general.
Of course. Mr. Williams, now convincing U.S. President Donald Trump to stop his global trade war is among the EU's top priorities for the G7 summit in Canada. According to the bloc's leaders, to what extent do you think that the EU will succeed in this mission, and what are the leverages that they will use to convince Trump?
They will not succeed.
They will not.
They will not succeed because President Trump is a narcissist. He believes that the United States has been cheated by the Europeans, and he believes also that the untrammeled and freed from alliances, from partnerships, the United States will realize its full power in the world. And the United States will be able to deal with China untrammeled by these feckless Europeans. And so I don't believe that anything could persuade Donald Trump. And in my view, it's a mistake to appease him. The Europeans are trying to appease Trump and calm him down, but that's a mistake. He needs to know the truth, and he needs to have a combination of forces against him.
You think that they need to put pressure on Trump instead of appeasing him?
Yes, and this summit it will be followed by the NATO summit in June. At the end of June, I think 26th and 27th. But already at the NATO summit, the Secretary General, Mark Rutte, is trying to abandon the wide agenda in favor of appeasing and pleasing Trump. And I think he will just be reinforced in his idea that he is the king of the world, to put it bluntly.
Well, Trump wants to keep his tariffs in place while also trying to convince other countries to side with the U.S. against China. How likely is that member states will rally behind this agenda while also being economically challenged?
Well, it's a contradiction. Because they're economically challenged, they will try to come to a deal with China in the medium term in order to avoid Chinese dumping and to have some sort of predictable, stable relationship with China if the United States and President Trump insists on destabilizing the world economic and trade system. And so I think he's forcing, in spite of themselves, the Europeans to think again about how to deal with and have coexistence and even trade with China.
Well, Trump's tariffs have hit Japan, Mexico, and Canada especially hard. How are these countries navigating economic cooperation with the U.S. while mitigating the effects of the U.S. tariffs?
With difficulty. Trump likes to, and his administration like to pick off the Mexicans, the Canadians, the Japanese, the Europeans, one by one, and they're having some success in terms of inducing these countries to deal with the United States. But the whole tariff idea is confused. Does President Trump aim to block trade with other countries in order to concentrate on building factories in the United States? Or does he want to have tariffs as a means of expenditure of tax revenue in order to maintain American expenditure? And these two ideas are incompatible. And so it's difficult to know how to deal with the United States when their objectives are so obscure.
Well, Trump says that tariff revenues will fund income tax cuts. In your view, is this sustainable economic policy or short-term political messaging?
No, it's an idea that he's always had. But as I said, if his view is that tariffs will fund tax cuts, then that means that the tariffs will permit trade at a certain level in order for the taxes to be revenues to be flowing in, and so then he'll have to lower tariffs if there isn't a flowing of revenue. And so I think it's all economists say that this is a non-economic idea. It's an idea of politics and power, not about economics.
Exactly. Now, the Iran-Israel confrontation is taking center stage at the summit. How do you think, Mr. William, leaders will navigate this regional crisis and also mitigate its effects?
Well, I think they'll make a clear pitch to President Trump to use his influence to persuade Israel, and particularly Israel, to de-escalate. But it's unclear again whether the United States and President Trump are encouraging Israel on the basis that they think that the regime in Iran, the government in Iran, will fall to be replaced by some other US-friendly regime. So is the US encouraging Israel, or does it want to see this war de-escalate and finish in the next few days? We don't know.